Lucky Brezza, the Citybird SUV.
Come the end of the league stage, in less than 2 weeks, match 57 could well be a decisive one. We expect high-stakes poker as Sunrisers Hyderabad, who finish with 3 at home, play Lucknow Super Giants, who finish with 3 away from home. Both having indifferent form, both having won 1 in 4, both having lost their last game. And for both KL Rahul and Pat Cummins, this is the game that might decide whether they sneak in or race through into the top 4 or just miss out. That's how close it is on the points table. Both teams separated only by net run rate, so there's plenty to play for and plenty to build up to. On Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL. Deep Dasgupta has slotted back. In the near corner, Mitch McClenaghan has been displaced, and he would have absolute pleasure being displaced by the great Ian Bishop, who's back for one last stint with us, given the stakes involved. Good evening, Bish.
Good evening to you, Raunak.
And good evening, Deep. What's up, Mitch?
I was just thinking in your little intro, there's a calculation, isn't there, that Mumbai can still make the playoffs. I thought you were going to allude to that for all the Mumbai fans.
Yeah, why not, Mitch? Why don't we go for that? Mumbai will win their last 2 games against KKR away, who sit pretty at the top of the table, and Lucknow at the Wankhede. They'll get to 12. Then they need about 19 different things going their way with a difference of some 900 runs plus minus. And then they'll make the top 4.
Yeah, they need 7 teams to finish on 12, don't they? So, yeah, there's still a chance. Come on, there's a small chance.
I'll take your word for it.
I thought the RCB fans were the dreamy optimists of the league. But you have shown me today that Mumbai Indians are not far away from RCB.
What do RCB fans dream of?
I actually think RCB have a better chance than Mumbai. But in all seriousness, big game this. I wonder if we can call a team that's going into this with looking more settled. These 2 teams started so well, and suddenly their overseas balance has changed. Their form isn't different. Is there a team that we can pick as favourites going into this, Mitch?
I think they're both stumbling. I think they're both really stumbling to the finish line. I don't think they know what their best combinations are. I think the Sunrisers have tried to rectify their issues with the bowling and the defensive side of the game and tried to bring in a bowler to add to that. And they've weakened what their strength was, which was their batting, and understanding that at some surfaces they may need to change their batting approach with that same unit to be able to get the job done. So, yeah, I think they've kind of just taken from one side, tried to sort out the other side, and then now the batting has started to struggle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure both of you saw Sunrisers games earlier on when you were commentating. And then the game, last one against Mumbai at the Wankhede, where Tom said it looked like Sunrisers just didn't want to win it. You know, there were so many things that were half-hearted, and there were so many holes in it. In the end, it turned out to be an easy win for a Mumbai who've been struggling. Anyway, what were your impressions from the Sunrisers team you saw in the last game?
I think it goes down partly to conditions as well, as I've strongly felt that once there's something in a pitch that it brings the bowlers back into it and readdresses the balance in the tournament generally. They need a little bit more. You saw Head struggling. He was had so much fortune. Yes. Abhishek couldn't get going. And Klaasen has been dismissed to spin while he's spin dominant. He's been dismissed to spin 3 or 4 times already this season. So I think they struggle when there's something in the pitch. So to your initial question, who can be classed as favourites? And I'm just sticking with that. I'm not saying who will win. I would say that Sunrisers being at home, winning 3 out of 4, I think LSG on the road at 2-2 would, in my mind, make Sunrisers slight favourites, not guaranteeing anything.
The run-in can be so important this time of year. We just have a look at how these 2 teams end. Already made the point that Sunrisers finish at home. They can let go of whatever's happened behind them. If they have the same home form that they started the season with, you expect them to win. In fairness, at least 2 out of the remaining 3. There's Lucknow, Gujarat, Punjab. That would take them to 16. Lucknow, on the other hand, those aren't fixtures that you could assume anything from. We saw the Delhi Capitals yesterday serving the Rajasthan Royals, one of the teams of the tournament, their biggest defeat in this year's IPL. And then there's Mumbai Indians, which you really never know what turns up. They'll have perhaps little to play for, or plenty to play for, as per Mitchell McClenaghan. And therefore, the Wankhede is also a tough fixture. they need to start playing like they started the season with. I believe we're at pitch 2, which is the same surface where SRH started at home against Mumbai in that record-breaking at the time.
Does it really matter this season? How Hyderabad that pitch is played really doesn't matter. I think the average first inning score is 212 or 20 or something.
There you go. We've had multiple 200-plus scores at Hyderabad.
Yeah, so I guess it doesn't. But what helps them is obviously play the same brand of cricket that they've been playing and being so successful in the past in this tournament. And playing at home on those surfaces. And I completely agree with Bish. A little bit of help for the spinners or the bowlers per se. So 160, 170 pitches, and they seem to struggle a little bit with that brand of cricket, which they want to continue playing, which is fine. And that's where I think they have a huge advantage as compared to the other teams stuck at the same level.
That's a good point. And 62% almost is how Hyderabad score at home in the history of the league. We know how formidable the Chepauk has been over years, except if you're the Punjab Kings. But otherwise, the Super Kings will welcome the Rajasthan Royals next. Now, Rajasthan they've been good at Jaipur. They now finish in Guwahati. There's some interesting things that could happen for the Royals after back-to-back defeats. Mumbai, traditionally strong, poor season this year. But Hyderabad at 62%. Therefore, you might want to lean towards Hyderabad with 3 games at home. When we talk about the new Hyderabad with Pat Cummins, Dan Vittori, they identified how they want to play. I think that was largely to do with the bat. You sense somewhere they're still identifying what their best bowling is. And that's affected how results have gone, how the team balance has gone.
Yeah, the way I see it is that they knew that the batting is their strength, but they obviously, because of that, teams were getting close to them and close to chasing them down when they did get those big scores. So they believed that their bowling was a weakness. So they tried to rectify that by dropping Markram and bringing in Marco Jansen, because I believe they think Marco Jansen was probably still going to add enough with the bat that it wouldn't be such a loss to the batting side if he came in and bowled. But
and sorry, just to add to that, also the fact that Nitish started performing in the middle order, they thought it'll be all right because now Nitish was performing, he's playing really well.
Yeah.
So they could afford to make that change.
Definitely. You're absolutely right. But I think that Marco Jansen selection call was to still cover the batting a little bit if they faltered, whereas I think the out-and-out best bowler on their bench is Fazil Farooqi. I think Farooqi is a high-quality seamer. He swings the ball both ways, and he's a genuine wicket-taker. And his numbers will tell you that. His strike rate's phenomenal. His economy rate's great. So I think out of the two, he would be the genuine wicket-taker out of the two. But I think they wanted that batting cover just in case they made a mistake. But from what we've seen from Marco Jansen, the 2 games that he has come in, and I know 2's not a big sample size, but you're getting towards the pointy end of the season.
Yep.
So you can't probably rely or even take the risk of him playing the next fixture.
Yeah. I guess it was also this game now to decide how they would want to end the league stage. Both teams, and significant changes are made. Firstly, confirmation from Hyderabad that Lucknow Super Giants have won the toss. They will bat first. Something they like to do, they were good at doing, but that record's just tapered off a little because teams have started chasing well against them. On the other hand, Sunrisers like to bat first, score big, their record in chase is not as good, and yet they will have to chase in a crucial game. Let's look at team news, shall we? And Lucknow Super Giants welcome back Quinton de Kock, who we believe missed out because of a hand injury, last featured in the game against Rajasthan Royals at Lucknow on the 27th of April, and a first game of the season for Krishnappa Gautam, which is quite interesting this stage of the season. We know how oppositions have tried to line up Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma with off-spin early on, but Deep Dasgupta. Let's talk about the Gautam change. We were all expecting de Kock to return. Ashton Turner misses out as a result of the overseas, but K. Gautam?
That's interesting. I mean, the point that you made about, Krishnappa Gautam also does bowl in the first 6. Every time I've seen him in the past, he has bowled in the power play. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the matchup they're looking at. And also he adds to the batting a little bit as well because, off late, that middle order hasn't really fired. Batters like Ayush Badoni and stuff like that, they really haven't scored a lot of runs. So I guess he also adds to the batting a little bit.
Point will be made with how Lucknow's batters have gone towards the end. And this is a question we were asking. Is Nicholas Puran running out of some support at the other end? He started so well. He's still going okay. He's averaging about 30 at the strike rate of 150 in the last few games after starting the tournament, averaging in the 60s and striking at nearly 180. But that's how Lucknow's batters have gone. Around them, Badoni's been shuffled up and down the order. Krunal Pandya sometimes comes in after everyone's gone home. And then Marcus Stoinis, who's batting at 3. Bish.
Sorry, I'm trying to recover after. What was the question?
Chris Gautam comes in. Puran will be without Ashton Turner today as well, though. That's a soft spot. Lucknow's middle order and lower middle order.
Yes, when Puran doesn't fire, and he's had about 3 games, I think it's 3 games where he had a not out, 14 or something like that, and then he had a low single-digit score either side of that. And you're going to get those with your high-risk players as you go through a long season. So I'm hoping that it's not a point of concern. Gautam can power the ball.
Nice.
Yeah, he strikes it nice.
It's awkward areas as well. It's quite hard to contain.
Remember one game up at Rajasthan a couple of years ago? It was Gotham City, where he won a game almost on his own back.
Mumbai game.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't want to say that. I did not want to specify. So, but I think he can, well, I hope he can take some catches like he did, I think, a game ago where he was on the field, took a really good catch as well.
Yep.
Very good player.
K. Gautam is a handy player, squad player. Looking at the Lucknow team one more time before we move to Hyderabad, though. Mohsin Khan picked up a knock on the head in the last game. He remains unavailable, not on the bench. Udvir Charak came on. He could be the impact option. Could they add to even more spin? It also seems like it's a spin-heavy attack, isn't it? There's Thakur, there's Naveen ul Haq, and possibly a Marcus Stoinis. But they've added Gautam, who will partner Krunal Pandya and Bishnoi. There's a lot of spin in Hyderabad. Is that perhaps a result of what we saw last game?
To a certain extent, yes, and you would pick Ravi Bishnoi any which way because him being a wrist spinner. Apart from that, listen, Krunal Pandya hasn't been used as frequently as you would like, even though he's got good numbers. But it boils down to, is there a left-hander at the crease or not? Krunal's bowling would depend on that. There you go. So, obviously, I mean, even though he's been good, Krunal, apart from a game here and a game there.
Yeah, the key point there, if you see, Deep, is how often they bowl 4. Their average is between 2 and 3 overs per game, Bishnoi and Krunal.
Yeah, and also, Ravi did not start the season well. He's bowling well now. He's starting to pick wickets now. I think that's one of the things that kind of hasn't helped LSG's bowling per se, because Ravi had a really good season last one. Krunal, very handy cricketer, good bowler as well. And he actually is bowled well apart from those couple of games. But it's quite interesting, even in Lucknow, where really big venue that is. I mean, that's a big ground. I don't understand this. Every time a left-hander comes, Krunal doesn't bowl at all. I mean, just give him 1 over or whatever. I mean, doesn't.
And that's why, Siddharth sitting on the bench as well. When he played, he was good. But now, because a lot of teams do have left-handers at the top, he doesn't come in. So, it's interesting to see how they deploy their bowlers today. I think that's why Gautam is playing. I think they feel like there could be a chance that if they don't get the openers out early, that Krunal may not bowl during that middle phase. But, I think you're right. Like, most bowlers are good enough now to know how to bowl inside the arc or outside the arc. It's one of these.
He did it once when they played against GT at Lucknow. He was very frugal at perhaps his best spell of the tournament. And what he did was, when the left-handers were there, he'd come round the wicket and take the ball away from them. And he did it very effectively on that occasion.
Many a time the Lucknow bowling this season, though, has been a result of a third-gear batting performance. And therefore, teams have chased comfortably against Lucknow as against previous years. They come up against a team that set the tempo for IPL 2024. Today, batting first after winning the toss, KL Rahul. Do Lucknow need to bat in a slightly different tempo? Just illustrated through numbers. If we focus on the sixes, gents, 41 for Hyderabad in the power play is the best in the league. 20 for Lucknow is second to worst. So that's 9th as far as the league rank goes this year. 55 and 36 also in the middle and depth. Hyderabad are the best in the league. And 16 sixes for Lucknow Super Giants in the last 5 is also the poorest, which tells us something about their 6-hitting prowess.
And that run rate is also the worst in the death, 10.36 if I'm not wrong. So
Now, is that down to, again, is it conditions? Is it lack of personnel to help Nicholas Puran?
Lack of power.
Lack of power.
Like anyone around there. Now Stoinis is towards the top of the innings. There's not many guys who are going to be able to hit sixes at the bottom there. Krunal is not a genuine six-hitter. Badoni definitely isn't a genuine six-hitter. So I guess that's why Goutham's come in today. But there's so much pressure on Pooran. Yeah. There's so much pressure on him. It's so interesting. There's a lot of teams that you look at KKR. If Andre Russell gets out, you still think that KKR can chase down the total because they've got power around
100%.
Andre Russell.
Very good example.
But Lucknow don't, and that's heaping more pressure on Nicholas Pooran to have to be the only guy who can clear the rope at the end.
So going back to that initial question, SRH seems to be a lot more settled than LSG. There are quite a few holes in that LSG team. So if you looking at that, obviously SRH, forget it's a home game or not, but LSG looking at that playing 11, you can find quite a few of them. Now Quinton de Kock is back, so that's a big positive. But leaving that aside, Stoinis, number 4, leaving that, and then you start seeing those holes. Bowling has holes. So yeah, I mean it's going to be a really tough one.
Well, this could be completely out of the box. I know Mosen's out now, but if Mosen was available, could you see Kyle Mayers bat down the bottom? Because I know when he started his career, he wasn't a top order batsman. This has been a shift in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, he batted at 5, 6,
he batted
7.
at 5, 6. Could he be the guy who could slide down the order if you're looking for a genuine rejig? I know he's an opening batsman now, but I know he has done that role in the past.
He started in the middle order, even in first-class cricket.
Yeah.
He really made his name through there. So
he have a wonderful Test 100 on debut as well.
Double 100,
Double 100.
Yeah, just checking. So I think it's an option, but he's grown so accustomed in the last couple of years to batting at the top. Whether he still has that availability, or that ability, only he will know. So I think if you ask him now, if we're getting you into this team, where would you want to go?
Be the top.
Yeah.
Well, the opportunity presented itself when de Kock was ruled out with injury. It is strange that they changed the makeup of the overseas. But Ashton Turner's run out of time, it seems. Once de Kock is back, we find out if Lucknow will find their mojo. And now let's look at the Sunrisers, who have an issue of their own. Number 3 has not quite been nailed yet. For the time being, we've just penciled Heinrich Klaassen there. That may not happen. This is, remember, their bowling first 11. And Sanveer Singh is part of the bowling first 11. Vijaykanth Vyaskant will play his first game. The replacement for Vanindu Asaranga just kept a couple of times and played a little bit in the ILT20, if I remember correctly, Mitch, the Sri Lankan mystery spinner, wrist spinner. Jaydev Unadkat is there as well. So there are quite a few changes that we're seeing. No room for Glenn Phillips yet. We're curious to see if he comes in. Marco Jansen goes out, Vyaskant comes in, Unadkat is back, and Sanveer Singh is named. So when they bat first, Abhishek Sharma will come into that team.
I really like that change there, because I think the only area that they didn't have it covered was the spin and the wrist spinner area. And I think irrespective whether it's a 200 pitch or 220, it's quite interesting actually. If you look at both the teams, they've gone spin heavy.
Yeah,
so it might not be a 250 kind of a pitch. And if you pick a overseas spinner in your 11, that means there is an opportunity there for the
thrown into the deep end.
This is a huge game to bring him in. And I worked with him at ILT20, and he's a very talented player, but very, very young in his career. He's done well in the LPL. He did well in the ILT20, but very young. This is a completely different stage to that. So the first game, coming in against some very good hitters, he's bowled to Nicholas Pooran in the nets. So he's had to try and figure out how to bowl to him, and it didn't go great in the nets. So that's the matchup. But
so your responsibilities as bowling coach are limited.
No,
to the
we're
fast
trying to
bowlers.
find ways to shut someone like Nicholas Pooran down. So he'll have some good memories, some bad memories, but it's going to be under the big spotlight of the IPL. I think he's a very good player, but I still think in terms of that role, you've got Mayank there, who's a very good spinner, and is Vijay that much better than Mayank? I don't think there's a sample size big enough to say that he is out and out leagues ahead of your local spinner.
It wasn't that long ago that I thought Mayank had a really good game bowling. It wasn't that long ago. I can't remember how many games
he's getting you wickets, At a high economy rate? It's also a result of where Sunrisers
result
have
of
played.
where they're at. People have had to be aggressive against them.
Yeah, they've almost always been chasing 250,
and
240.
if you think about it, is 11 that bad this season?
I think we also have to break this down. We have to be specific with these things, right? Because if you look at Piyush Chawla, for example, and look at his overall economy rate this season, it doesn't give you the full picture of what he did before he missed a game or two and what he's done since. Similarly with Siraj. What Siraj did in the first half of the season and what he's done in the last 3 or 4 games is different. So I think we need to dig into these numbers a little bit deeper.
Yes.
And just your point about the pitch, I'm intrigued. This adds some intrigue for me. Because if it's a pitch that is offering something, what's the mode of LSG's batting? There's a time when they would have aimed for 170, 180 and look to win with that. Or do they feel they need to muscle the ball a little bit more because of who they're playing against? So that's the intriguing question that I want to see how that plays out.
That's that's a positive thing with Vijay, is that he holds his length very well. So he's tall, like relatively tall, not massively tall, but taller than most leg spinners. Definitely taller than Piyush. But he's
I don't know whether PC is watching this or not.
Piyush is quite tall for our part of the world. Okay?
Oh yeah, Raunak,
He bowls very good length. He's a very confident spinner. And generally what we've seen when Mayank was missing, he was missing full and getting taken down straight at Hyderabad, which is where you don't want to get hit. So Vijay will definitely probably be more of a spinner to get hit square.
And also, I mean, because you're part of teams and stuff, a lot of it also depends on how a particular person is playing in the nets. Suddenly you see somebody bowling well in the nets, you're like, oh, he's bowling well. Why don't we play him? So, and especially a tournament like this, and I'm sure he's been part of the team from day one.
Yeah, true. And we saw the wicket, and I think that wicket looks like similar to the wicket that we saw last game, where it was a 200 versus 200. So it wasn't the 250. 250. So, and we saw there was a little bit of purchase, for spinners, which kind of goes to your point of that maybe that's
quite
why
interesting to see the number of spinners there.
Is there an element of surprise as well here? Lucknow would have said, okay, they play Markande. We know what to expect from Markande. We line him up XYZ. There's Vijay Kandiyaskanth, who's perhaps not as known, or is that not a reality anymore with how much teams have...
Trying to think who in that side they're lucky. So Puran's played him, be able to give them pretty good intel. I think if you were debuting against a batting lineup, barring Puran, this is the batting lineup you want to debut against. So I think it's easier, with the conditions the way they look, might be easier game for him. But Glenn Phillips' spin is underrated. He adds to, I know, I
was waiting for your car to stop at that stop.
I just don't he's another guy he's a genuine spinner now. And he adds with the bat. And when he came in last year, they took a long time to play him last year, and he won him a game straight off the bat. Like it did.
Fair enough.
That over, what did he hit?
25.
25 off bugger all.
He didn't do anything after that.
That's correct.
He had that one good game.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting. Which it shows me that I don't think they know who their bowling option is.
He needs to play at a different franchise.
So you're saying Dan Vittori doesn't know about Glenn Phillips' bowling options?
No, I'm
Franklin,
saying they're trying
all
to
your compatriots in that dugout.
Raunak, don't start putting words in my mouth. Okay, we don't need to do that. We've done well to get this far into the tournament.
I agree, Mitch.
Okay, no, I just think they're trying to find what's going to be successful. And this is Frankie, to your point about Frankie. Frankie was at ILT20 with us,
right?
With the MI Emirates side. And Vijay came into the team at about this exact point in the tournament. 2 or 3 games before the playoffs, lit it up, contributed to wins, and then played through the playoffs. So maybe there's a bit of superstition there in terms of him being the mojo of getting them back on track.
But having said that, the point that you made, as much as I've seen videos of a bowler and I've got all the intel, till the time I actually face someone, you still don't know. So there's still going to be that X factor, at least for the first...
element.
Yeah, I mean, for the first few deliveries at least. And, as a bowler, if you're smart enough, you kind of, get through your at least a couple of overs with that, and the captain should be happy with it.
Very intrigued to see how Vijay goes. He's only played the 1 T20 here, and that was at the Asian Games, where not a lot of game time was seen with the weather. But we see how he goes on his IPL debut in a huge game. Right, you need your more experienced players to stand up here. We've spoken of Puran. who has been carrying the responsibility in the middle order. That is also when T. Natarajan has had an impact. He might have gone quiet every now and then, but that's just how the bowlers have gone this season. Natarajan versus Pooran is a matchup we can look forward to in the first innings here with LSG batting. Never been dismissed as Nicholas Pooran to T. Natarajan. It's just 24 balls, striking at 175. Not a lot of batters have been able to get T. Natarajan away. What about Nicholas Pooran? Perhaps makes it easier? Bish?
Left-hander, you reckon?
Coming into him, at the angle.
Yeah.
Look, Nicholas Pooran can be a freak sometimes in this format of the game. Let's put it that way. The role that he's playing at this franchise is very different to the role that he plays at most other franchises where he's batting at number 3 because he has that ability, right? But I just think his power, he has great power. The angle coming into him where he's able to hit straight, he can hit leg side, and he's brought back his offside game, which was missing for a couple of years previously, where he wouldn't hit the ball inside out, he'd go leg side. So if he's in good touch, he's a problem.
And technically as well, it's one to watch out for when you're watching the game tonight, is watch how low Nicholas Pooran can get. He's out of all the batters you watch who are power hitters.
Yeah.
You know, it's the batter's ability to get low and the swing plane, not stand up on their swing plane and not go across the ball, and that's why he makes such good contact. And the power he can generate still from that low full toss is he's one of the masters of that art.
Just Butler's another.
Yep, absolutely. So technically he's sound when it comes to hitting those low Yorkers at the end.
Watch out for that in the first innings. In the second innings, watch out for Abhishek Sharma, who's a player we must discuss. It seems to have just gotten a little cold this season for young Abhishek Sharma, who started in red-hot form. But the last 3 games with average of just 12, it's not just the numbers, it's how he's looked. Is he falling off a little bit for you?
Yeah, kind of. And maybe, oppositions have kind of bowling the areas where he doesn't want them to bowl. I think that's something, that as any player, you've got to, be ahead of the opposition, If there's a trend, and there seems to be a little bit of a trend in the last 2-3 games, or maybe more than that, the way he's been getting out.
Do you know what I think it is? I think teams initially were eyeing up Travis Head as the biggest threat in this partnership. So they would bowl a spinner and to try and get Travis Head out. And then Abhishek would take down the spinner. And I think a lot of teams have realised that actually Abhishek at the start against spin is more destructive than Travis Head is against pace. If you bowl well, a good line as a seamer. So I think he hasn't had that spin option in the power play to really go after to get his innings off to a good start.
I think that's a damn good answer. You were pleased with that, I could see that.
I've got to offer something to stay employed.
All right. On that note, Bish, Deep, I hope you remember how the impact zone works.
Yes. I don't.
Ready to read
That was a big sigh. So wasn't it my answer? It was because we're going into the impact zone.
No, his ability to pick up and be cynical about everything, every answer that comes forward is...
My ability to pick up and be cynical about everything.
It still surprises me every time it happens.
Put that on my tombstone, please, with the Ian Bishop quotes. Right? My ability to be cynical about everything. Thank you, Bish. Impact zone. Right, each expert picks 3 players for each game, a batter, bowler and a wildcard. Impact points as per ESPN Cricket Info's Smart Stats. Much better way to judge the impact of a player in the shortest format than conventional numbers. And the expert with the highest points tally gets 3 in their season tally, which of course Bish did quite well with in his short stint previously. Deep has done well.
Not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
Mitch has also done well.
Turn the wagon
Not
around.
really.
Yeah.
Turn the wagon
Yeah,
around.
he's turning it around. We've given him some helpful surfaces.
Big wagon, is it?
Tom's about to walk off the show. Getting some assistance with some extra points, which is great.
Mitch, since you are the pro here, I'll let you go first.
Oh, I don't need to do that.
No, I insist.
Okay. You insist.
Would you like to not go?
Okay. No, I will. I'm going to take a punt here. I am going to go with Nicholas Pooran.
Nicholas Pooran. So we are picking batters now. Bish, your batter for the day.
KL Rahul.
KL Rahul for Ian Bishop, quite instantaneously. Deep.
Travis Head.
All right, big boys all taken. Now for a bowler, Ian Bishop.
From either side?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Would you like to see the teams?
No. I don't want to see the teams. I go Pat Cummins.
Pat Cummins for Ian Bishop. Deep.
Gonna go with Natarajan.
T. Natarajan for Deep Dasgupta. And now Mitch will say how he was thinking of those bowlers. And now
I'm going to go down with the ship because I want him to do well. So if he performs poorly, I'm happy to lose the impact zone. I'll go with Vijay Rashank.
I'll write his name correctly. That's okay. Yeah, Vijay Kant, VS Kant it is. And you've nicely given a little rider over there, right? That you're doing it for him. And
yeah, I want him to. He's a lovely kid. I want him to do well. But I'm happy to go down with the ship.
So the others aren't, is it?
Huh?
The others aren't.
Oh, I don't even read.
you're just buying yourself insurance.
Yeah,
Vijay. Vijay.
Vijay Kant. Yeah, he's going for Vijay Kant. And finally, Deep, your wildcard.
Nitish Kumar Reddy.
Nitish Reddy, nice wildcard. Mitch?
Heinrich Klassen.
Klassen, he's due, and Bish.
Ravi Bishnoi.
Bishnoi, it is.
The Bish for the dish.
Bish. Well done, Bish. In which case, RK will go for QDK.
Okay.
Close enough. Okay.
Did you just call yourself RK?
Raunak will go for Quint. I will go for Quint. I will also go for Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. And I'll back Abhishek Sharma to come good today. So come on, Abhishek.
Oh, nice work, RK.
Thank you, Eminem. We leave it there. First innings predictions and outrageous picks. Mitch.
189. Nicholas Pooran will hit 45 off 22 deliveries.
Very well. Very
or
specific.
Less. Or less.
Very specific.
Yeah.
So either 45 or less than 45 and either 22 deliveries or less than 22
yeah,
deliveries.
You know how it works.
Right. Deep.
178.
Ooh, okay. We're low balling a little today, aren't we? 178.
Kale. Okay. Kale to get out within 12.
KL for 12 or less
12 or
runs.
less.
Didn't you pick him as your player?
No, he did not. That was Bish. And Bish, your turn now.
He's just muddied my entire KL Rahul pick. I feel the sense that was personal.
You can head back. You can head back and just go after head on Natarajan or Nitish Reddy.
So I'm going to go for 190.
Ooh, 189 and 190. Very close. All right. And your outrageous.
My outrageous pick would be Shabazz Ahmed to get a 3-4.
Wow. I love it.
Wow.
Shabazz 3-4 it is. Thank you very much to Ian Bishop, Mitchell McClenaghan and Deep Dasgupta. More from the panel at the end of the Lucknow innings in what is a high-stakes game. So join us then for analysis on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL. Download the mobile app if you haven't already. Fastest scores and so much more as Lucknow have blazed away to 3 without loss after the first over. We will pick up the chat at the end of the innings.
All new hot and techy Brezza, the city bred SUV.